attended the University of Lincoln, Nebraska on dual scholarship in baseball and football, won 4 Big 8 championships and played in 2 national championships. Graduated with a BA in speech communication. Pledged the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated 1982 TK USS Unity No. 3. Career path. Paramount Pictures, Entertainment, Tonight Eddie Murphy Television. United States Olympic Committee, 1992 Winter and Summer Games, Colorado Springs. Traveled the world working in 6 different countries. Special Olympics, 1995 World Games, New Haven, Connecticut. Vice President of WHNC Radio, New Haven, Connecticut. Marriott International Hotel Senior Sales Manager, Sports Segment. Assistant Director of Athletics Development, University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Chief Advisement Officer, Institute, Troy, New York. Vice President for Development, St. Rose College, Albany, New York. He is married to his wife, Edie, for 22 years, and she is executive with IBM. Guy has been serving Omega over 35 years everywhere he has worked, lived, and worshiped, mentoring young men and women around the country. He is a true Omega man, sharing his knowledge, stories, and wealth with others to assist them in gaining a better way of life. It gives me a great pleasure to bring up here Brother Guy K. Rozier.
Wow. That's all I gotta say is wow. What an honor. What a blessing to be here today, to be able to have this opportunity to speak before all of you. And I want to thank the young men that are sitting here to my right and the young men that are sitting here to my left for the honorable work that you've been doing for Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. You've done a great job putting this conference together. As you can look around this room and in the meetings that you've had, of how well you've orchestrated the business, what Omega Psi Phi is all about, business. First off, I just want to give a quick shout out to a few brothers in this room who raised me up, as I would say, in Omega land. Tall Kappa, Beta Upsilon brother. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Excuse me.
It's okay. You all right? All right, bro. Okay.
It's been a long journey coming from Camden, New Jersey, the murder capital of the world for 5 years, being the youngest of 6, 5 older brothers, and having the honor and the blessing to come to the University of Nebraska to play 2 scholarships in baseball and football. And more importantly, having the opportunity to play a sport and go to a school with a brother who was talented, unbelievable, with a style of running a football that led him to win the Heisman Trophy in 1983. Yeah. And if you've never had an opportunity to do something with a family member, I gotta tell you, this is a pivotal moment in my life. A vision is C, making plans for your future. Faith to believe in God and yourself. Courage to do whatever you can do to impact the world with your footprint. And we as Omega men create our own footprints on what we do in our communities, how we do it, when we do it, and who we share it with. To me, what's really important is having the opportunity to speak to the undergrads, but more importantly, to speak to the neos. And I'll call you neophytes, but we say neos back in the old school. And I ask that every neo in this room, please stand. I want you neos to take a full understanding of what's before you, what's sitting around you, what's in these rooms. I don't think you really understand the magnitude and the power of these black men that are sitting before you, the positions that they hold in life, the roles that they play in their families, in their churches, in their communities, the aspirations that they've had many years before I come into the Frat, and years after me when I come into the Frat, that can help you get to where you need to go in life. If you don't tap into them, you have failed this conference. I'll say it again. If you don't tap into them, you have failed in coming to this conference. This is where it is. Brothers from 8 different districts. Not just your own chapter in your own district, but brothers from 8 different districts that are attorneys, and firemen, and businessmen, and doctors, and business professionals. Last night I had the privilege to sit down and talk to a couple of young men who were growing their own business. Little did they know I had a Frat brother who was sitting right beside me that was in the same vertical. I just turned and passed the buck. They were so full of knowledge within a 2-hour time frame before they left, I'm sure they went home and wrote down a lot of notes. If they didn't, something's wrong. Again, I just want to welcome you all for coming from where you come from. I'm honored to be here, now living in New Jersey. And I just want to share a couple of things with you for the time that I have. And again, this first thought process goes out to the neos. What does it feel like being a true Omega man? How do you feel? How do you fit in? And where do you fit in? Some of the things you're probably thinking about. Are you ready to serve the community that you live in? But are you truly ready to serve Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated? This is an organization of service. Not just an organization where purple and gold, set out some hops, throw out some hooks, chase a bunch of women. Some of those things are fun. I gotta admit I'm guilty. But the reality of it is being able to take in the relationships, again, that are in this room that will help catapult you to your success. And if you don't believe that, then again, you're missing out on this opportunity. Today, I'll just share a couple of things with you, a little bit about myself. I'll share some other things in regards to the fraternity, some things that I've been able to achieve representing Tau Kappa everywhere that I've gone, representing Omega Psi Phi. So I'll say again to the neos, what should you expect from your chapter leadership? And this is important for the older brothers as well, because a lot of us have fallen off to the wayside trying to take care of life's ending lessons for us as we move forward. And sometimes we forget to separate ourselves and give the time to the young ones who don't really listen to us when we do speak, but still trying to find a way to see it through. Guidance and organizational operations. How business is done in Omega Psi Phi are the things you should be expecting, questions you should be asking. How should you get involved in your communities? Contacts, opportunities, relationships, business ventures that you should be a part of to help catapult you in your verticals. And the most important one to me is having a sustainable mentor. A lot of you young men don't understand what having a mentor means or what a mentor is. But I'll say this, when you look at yourself in the mirror and you try to determine who you are as you're still developing as a man, there's some characteristics about you that you know another man in your community, especially in this fraternity, yet alone in this room, have what you have to offer. A mentor is somebody who's always not going to agree with you. A mentor is someone who's going to kick your butt from time to time to push you.
Amen.
A mentor is someone who's going to tell you when you're wrong. And the hardest part about that is taking it. Being a man and manning up to it. And owning it.
Amen.
but listening to what they're trying to teach you. And when you can look back in that mirror the day after that conversation with your mentor, after he's whooped your butt 2 or 3 times for 25 minutes, you can then say to yourself, tomorrow I'm going to be a better man because I've learned something. I've got a lot of mentors. They're not all just black. They're not all just Hispanic. I've got mentors not around the country, but around the world. And one of the other things I want to share with the young guys is that you all are tied into Facebook and the social media networks. And this person's your friend and that person's your friend. They're not your friends. Your friends are in this room. These are the brothers who understand what you've gone through, the pledge, the same way that we pledged. 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 25 years ago, even 3 weeks ago. We all ascertain the same knowledge, the same ambition, desire for manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. That's what this fraternity is about. We serve people in our community. We give back to our community, which means we give back to each other, because we are our own community. When you looked at Omega Psi Phi from the outside, you were trying to figure out what it is about those guys that made you feel good when you saw them. What is it about those men that stood high with aspirations when they're working in the business sector? Who is that man? What are those colors and what does it represent? You were one of those who were curious about the parades when we marched through the streets with our banners talking about Omega Psi Phi and trying to figure out what does that mean? Now that you're in the fold, it's time for you to understand. It's time for you to learn. It's time for you to produce, but it's time for you to give your time back to the frat, back to your community, and back to your churches. But more importantly, back to your family. Because it's a trade-off, I gotta be honest. A lot of times the wives don't want you going out to the frat meetings because there's 2 men. Then you gotta travel. You travel, you're leaving home too much. You all know what I'm talking about. We've all been through it.
Amen.
So when it comes to, for me, what was it like when I first became an Omega man? Coming from Camden, New Jersey, I was told before I left, you better not come back here without being a Q. And these were older brothers who, when I was a little kid playing sports at 5 years old, would play a rough touch on the school ground, that made me as talented as I was to come to the University of Nebraska and look at different colleges around the country. These are guys that are now my fraternity brothers and my good friends when I go home. And these are men who helped move me through my life that I really look up to. So, for me, life has been a journey. It's been part of history. I wanted to make sure that people knew that I was from Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I wanted them to know that I was a man of integrity, that I pledged in Omaha, Nebraska, at Tall Cap. To me, when I came here to Nebraska, it meant a lot because I was playing at a school that was all white. There were about 9 of us on the football team from all over the country. And I wanted to be somebody different. I wanted to feel like I was somebody different. And the thing that really set in my heart was Omega Psi Phi because it was really different.
Yeah.
So I ventured off into going to one of the smokers. My line brother, Irving Fryer, came along with me. And we committed ourselves and our lives to Omega Psi Phi. And I got to tell you, there were some good times. And there were some bad times. There's some real frat brothers, and there aren't some so real frat brothers. There are some great brothers that actually want you to achieve, and there are some brothers that just want you to be. So pay attention to your leadership. Ask yourself the question, are they really interested in me? What do I bring to the table? Whether it be on the financial side, whether it be on the spiritual side, and any of the offices that need to be held in your town. How do you fit in? Playing 2 sports at Nebraska, again, not just wanting to be a member of the team. Irving Fryer and I were the first Omega men at the University of Lincoln, Nebraska. And we would throw up the hooks every time we got in the end zone or I tackled somebody, or blocked the punt. We wanted everybody around the country to know who we were. And it was an honor to go into different states see frat brothers outside the bus and outside the hotel waiting for us as we arrived, developing that bond of friendship. We represented Omega Psi Phi, but we represented TKO, because that was our home chapel. And it was important to us. But the bond of friendship that's offered around the country with Omega Psi Phi is far none greater than any amount of dollar you could ever receive. My mentor, Charlie Green, in Lincoln, Nebraska, in 1968, won a gold and bronze medal. He was one of the 4 guys that had their fist up in that poster that you see every Black History Month, but he didn't protest. Charlie is from Seattle, Washington, lives in Lincoln, Nebraska, was a big military man. Became a mentor 35 years ago. I'll never forget, I was playing freshman football, and I was on a knee after practice, looking at the field where my brother was running, and Roger Craig was running, and Turner Gill and Irving Fryer was running, and Dean Steinkuhl and all the big boys were out there, and I was looking at myself saying, my turn's going to come. And a man gently tapped me on the shoulder. He happened to be a Catholic. It's okay. But he tapped me on the shoulder, and I went to look up. He pushed my head back down and said, keep looking out that way.
Come on.
He said, remember that field you were just running on? I said, yes, sir. He said, I built that field. He said, you know those stands that people were sitting on at that track meet that you ran around? I said, yes, sir. He said, they came to see me. He said, your job is to put more seats in this stadium.
Yeah.
And put your name in the stadium so people can never forget you.
All right, all right.
That was something that really resonated with me because that was history. And that was a part of history that I never thought I could be a part of, but yet God some way put me in that path. And as my years went through becoming an Omega man first, that was the first part of history. I kept moving forward and was proud to say that, you know, I've had a couple of great line brothers. One of them I don't see much anymore, but I know he loves me because we communicated last month. And you know, some of the things that happen in life sometimes just kind of moves you in a different direction, but you'll always be an Omega man. What visions do you see for yourself? Where do you go from here? What's important to you? I've served my fraternity for 35 years. And I'm proud of it. Being able to play in national championships and bowl games, working for Eddie Murphy Television, Paramount Pictures, working for the United States Olympic Committee, and being the first Omega Psi Phi, of Omega Psi Phi, to be in these positions. Traveling the world, working in Colorado, working for the USOC in Colorado Springs, in Barcelona, Spain, and Albertville, France, Sheffield, England, Sapporo, Japan, and having conversations with Fidel Castro, like he was a fraternity brother. People didn't know that I belonged to Omega Psi Phi, but I always wore my colors everywhere in the world I went to represent us. And I know we all do that in our own fashion as well in the states and cities that we travel. And that's so important. I've been truly blessed to do the things that I've done. I've been able to do some other things in history that I'll throw out real quick. When I worked at Nebraska, University of Nebraska, the associate AD, I had a vision to have African-American athletes give back to the institution, which has been some of the biggest complaints around the country. I had Ndamukong Suh give $2.6 million, the largest gift in NCAA history. I was a developer, I was a fundraiser at the institution as the associate AD for athletics. Raised $76 million in 3 years. And when I went to Ndamukong with 3 strategies, he said, Mr. Guy, I want that. I said, son, we're going to put your name on this building, and for 25 years it will never come down. Your father's from Cameroon, Africa, and your mother's from Jamaica. It's your father's name that you're carrying, not yours. You need to honor him before he dies. I knew what Ndamukong's contract was going to look like. And what was most important for me was making sure that he left a legacy behind. He was the highest decorated athlete in the history of Nebraska athletics. I knew he had cash. So I went with him. And I asked him for $2 million.
Come on, come on.
I mean, if I was able to ask Warren Buffett for money, who's Ndamukong Suh, you know what I'm saying? So Ndamukong said, Mr. Guy, I'd be honored to do that. I said, but let's do something a little bit more special. He wanted to pledge Omega Psi Phi, but the time ran out for him. He was something that we really could have molded into a man that we wanted him to be, opposed to the man that he started out being and then the man that he's become now. But he wanted to pledge Omega Psi Phi, and that was my attachment to him. So he said, Mr. Guy, what's the best thing for me to do? I said, we're going to do $2 million. We're going to put this beautiful sculpture of you up in that room. We're going to have your name up in that room, and that's going to be your weight room. You're going to change that weight room any way you want to do it. I'm going to set you up with parking structures outside. I'm going to give you skybox seats for 25 years. Never been done in the history of the college. I said, but more importantly, I want you to give another $600,000. He said, for what? I said, because you graduated with an engineering degree in 3 years. It's your responsibility to make sure that another black man and black woman had the same opportunity to go to school like you. And it happened. It gave me $2.6 million. Carmelo Anthony had only given $2 million to have the basketball stadium named after him in Syracuse. I said, let's one-up him, bro. And this was before he signed the contract. And before he was even drafted, he made that commitment. So, you know, as faith would hold it, it became something, again, part of history that was really important to me to create a path that other young men and young women could follow. And I was thrilled and honored to be able to do that. But it's not about the bragging points of where I've been and what I've done. It's not about where I stand and how I stand in the room. It's more importantly to me that people understand that I represent Omega Psi Phi when I wake up in the morning, when I go to sleep at night, and all day long. No matter where I travel, it's on my car, it's in my heart. No matter what I do, I'm always trying to connect people, to build new businesses, to generate new revenues for each other, and build on relationships. So in closing, I'll just simply say that I am my father's son, and I'm the baby boy of 6, and I belong to my mother. I left a job making a lot of money 7 months ago out of New York because my mom and dad are now 86 years old, and they need my support. And it wasn't about the money and the things anymore. And when I walked in with my letter of resignation, they looked at me like I was crazy. And honestly, I was. I was the first black man as vice president at college. I had a 6-figure salary. I had a great office. And I was a huge role model on that campus for African American men and women. But there's nothing more important than family.
That's right. That's
Come on,
right.
come on.
I lost a brother 3 years ago. And what was most important to me was being able to come home and not try to make up that time, but just to be able to provide some more time for my mom and dad on their happy side of life. So in closing again, I'll say, I am my father's son. I am my mother's youngest baby boy. I stand tall in the room with no issues. I command respect by the presence and knowledge that I own and that I have. I don't give up, and I won't give in to ignorance. So don't try to displace me. I have no room in my life to hate someone just because someone else told me to. I'll give you my all and offer it up to you if you meet me halfway. I'm a real Omega man with a vision and a purpose. I might fall short sometimes, but I won't give up. Stay true to yourself. Let some others see the path that you've woven for them. If they follow, fine. If they ask questions, offer the answer. We're leaders in our community. We're leaders in our churches, our families, our fraternity. And I'll say to you, go out and stand for something. Don't just be an Omega man. Go out and stand for something.
Amen. Amen.
And stand tall in what you do.
Amen.
And don't be afraid to share it with other people. And don't be so concerned about the pats on the back that you didn't get for an accomplishment that you received. God sees everything.
Yeah.
He sees everything. And He's rewarding you every day you put your feet on the floor. He's rewarding you with every opportunity when the doors are open for you, when you thought the door was closed.
Yes, come on.
So just keep in mind that there's somebody that's out there before you, someone that's out there with you, and there's somebody out there behind you.
Yes.
And that's Jesus. So I'll say to you guys, I thank you for this opportunity to stand before you as an Omega man for 35 years. I'm honored to be here, to be a part of this history in the 8th District.
Yes.
And I wish all of you the safest journey back home to your families and continued success in this conference. And again, I thank you and God bless you for this time.
Brother Ball, would you join us at the podium?
I love Omega Psi Phi, man.
Amen.
I love Omega. You don't understand, he's a million. So they say.
So, Brother Rozier, at this time, we would like to present you with this plaque to show our appreciation for you serving as our guest speaker this afternoon. And the plaque reads, 8th District, Milton J. Patton Undergraduate Luncheon acknowledges Brother Guy Rozier, keynote speaker. We would like to express our gratitude and appreciation for the wise words you shared. May God continue to bless you and your gift of verbal expression. So again, let's thank Brother Rozier.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great job.
Thank you, brother.
Great job.